This is the story of the Trojan War portrayed in Minecraft, how the war started because of a single golden apple, the legend of the greatest warrior Achilles, the Trojan Horse, and the girl which started the war of 1,000 ships versus Troy. Let's start from the beginning. There was once a powerful city named Troy, ruled by the mighty King Priam. The eldest of his sons, Hector, would go on to be Troy's greatest warrior, only second to the great Greek warrior Achilles. On the other hand, his other son, Paris, was prophesied to be the one who would lead to the destruction of Troy. He was ordered to be executed. Paris's mom couldn't bear to kill him, so she asked a shepherd to kill the baby. The shepherd instead secretly raised the boy. Meanwhile, Achilles' future parents, Peleus and Thetis, were having a giant wedding. All of the gods were invited to this wedding, such as Zeus, the king of the gods, his wife Hera, Apollo, the god of the sun, Athena, goddess of war, Aphrodite, goddess of love, and many others. They all had a great time and everyone was having a blast. So wait, pause. How was this lovely wedding the cause of the Trojan War? Well, you see, all were invited except one goddess, Ares, goddess of discord and drama. I guess nobody likes a drama queen. She was fuming. Meanwhile, the gods were giving Peleus and Thetis lovely gifts. Poseidon gave the couple 2 immortal horses. Hephaestus, god of fire, gave them a dagger. Athena gave them a flute. And Aphrodite gave them a fancy bowl. Nice, I guess. Apollo was rocking it on his U-shaped harp, the lyre. Now back to Ares. Ares was incredibly jealous for being the only one left out, so she hatched a devious plan. She snuck into Hera's orchard garden and stole a golden apple. She asked Hephaestus to rename the Minecraft golden apple to say, "To the most beautiful." Ares then snuck into the wedding and threw the golden apple near the gods. 3 goddesses, Athena, Hera, and Aphrodite, went to go pick up the golden apple, and they started bickering over who was the prettiest. Nobody in the wedding wanted to pick a side, fearing they would anger the goddesses they didn't pick. The 3 goddesses ran up to Zeus to ask him to decide, but he didn't want to get inside the drama, so he told them to go to this guy named Paris. Remember him? To choose who was the most beautiful one. They eventually got to Paris, who by now was a fully grown man, and asked him to judge. Since they were all pretty much equally beautiful, he could not decide. Hera said, "If you choose me, you shall be able to rule the world." "Oh yeah?" said Athena. "If you choose me, you can become the greatest warrior of all time." "Oh please." "Paris, if you choose me," said Aphrodite, "I will give you the love of any girl you want." Paris excitedly chose Aphrodite. Paris exclaimed that he wanted the most beautiful girl in the world, Helen, the wife of the king of Sparta. "I'm sure this won't cause any future problems." Aphrodite casted a spell on the two which made them instantly fall in love. Paris and Helen escaped from Sparta together and fled to Troy. Paris's father Priam was pleased, but some citizens in Troy were worried though. They worried this would start a devastating war that would ruin Troy. But before we continue, if you enjoy this story, please consider subscribing for more of this style of Minecraft content. Now let's get back to ancient Greece. Menelaus, the king of Sparta, who had just come home from a funeral, was rightfully pissed when some random dude just came and took off with his wife. Like, what the heck? This guy called Paris just came in and took my wife, and even worse is that my wife is now madly in love with him. Don't worry, Menelaus, we'll keep our oath to protect the husband of Helen. So, backed by the suitors, Menelaus ordered an invasion of Troy, sparking the infamous Trojan War. Many kings in Greece, such as Odysseus, Diomedes, and Nestor, would answer his call. The largest fleet ever amassed at the time was set sail for Troy. This is why Helen is known as the girl whose face launched 1,000 ships. Back to Peleus and Thetis from the wedding. They bore a child which would become the greatest warrior of all of Greece, Achilles. The demigod Achilles was dipped into the river Styx, which granted him near immortality. "Hey Thetis." "Yeah?" "I think you missed the spot." "Oh, the heel? Whoops. Oh well, it's not like he'll be killed by the heel anyways." Anyways, Achilles' heel was the only part of his body not drenched into the river. Achilles grew up to be the best Greek warrior. He went to fight in the Trojan War. On the outskirts of Troy, the leader of the Greek forces, Agamemnon, led the siege of Troy for nearly 10 years. As a war prize, Agamemnon kidnapped this Trojan girl named Chryseis. The girl's father, who was a priest, pleaded to Apollo for her daughter to be saved. Apollo then casts a nasty plague on the Achaean camp. To please Apollo, Agamemnon reluctantly hands the girl back to her father. Angry, Agamemnon takes Achilles' kidnapped prisoner, Briseis. Feeling dishonored and humiliated, Achilles goes into a fit and hides in his tent. He and his forces would not help. This would be very bad for the Greek forces. Paris joins the fight on Troy's side. Menelaus, eager to get revenge on the man who stole his wife, 1v1s Paris. They prepare to duel. Paris is secretly nervous. They begin to PvP. The fight is deadly. But as Menelaus is about to kill Paris, Aphrodite intervenes and teleports him away in a cloudy mist. Helen is embarrassed. After the fight is over, the goddess Athena, still angry with Aphrodite from that whole golden apple thing, provokes a Trojan to try to kill Menelaus. His arrow misses, but it begins another battle. The Trojans were winning, but Achilles would not help. Due to Athena's trickery again, a soldier wounds Aphrodite in battle. Ares, god of war, is also injured. Various gods and goddesses such as Hera, Athena, Apollo, and Poseidon intervene in the war, despite Zeus's specific orders not to do so. The Olympians were divided. Losing the war, Agamemnon desperately asks Achilles to join the battle once more. Achilles declines. "Please, Achilles, we'll give you anything. We'll even give you back that girl Agamemnon stole." Achilles shakes his head. He declines offers of honors and riches, even Agamemnon's last resort offer to return that girl he stole. While that's happening, Diomedes and Odysseus sneak into the Trojan camp and wreak havoc. They did an arguably scummy, dishonorable move. Since Achilles and his warriors are out of battle, the Trojans begin to win. The Trojans threaten to set fire to the Greek ships. The Greeks were about to lose. They needed Achilles more than ever, but he was still sulking in his tent, not budging. Patroclus, Achilles' friend and lover, pleads with Achilles, "If you don't want to fight, at least let me wear your armor to make them think that you are fighting again." Patroclus then dresses in Achilles' own armor and leads the Greeks against the Trojans. He is successful as the Trojans are scared. The Greeks are excited since they think Achilles is actually back, and they charge. Apollo, angry at Patroclus, smacks him on the back with his spear. After this first blow, Hector, thinking Patroclus was Achilles, kills him. Everyone, including the Greeks and Trojans, stopped and were in shock when they thought it was actually Achilles. Hector took off and wore Achilles' armor, which Patroclus wore. When Achilles found out, he was so deeply enraged that he decided to finally work together again with Agamemnon. The Greeks were once again united. Achilles rejoins the battle, destroying all of the Trojans before him in his fury. Many gods join in the battle, and the earth shakes with the clamor of the massive war. Achilles killed so many people that the rivers turned red, and the river god attacked him. The Greeks were finally winning. Achilles' mother, Thetis, asks Hephaestus for a new armor set and shield, specifically crafted for him. Since this is Minecraft, we can assume Achilles' new armor is some Prot 4 Unbreaking 3 netherite armor with an enchanted shield. Achilles takes revenge for his best friend Patroclus by doing what any normal person would do. He goes up to Hector and says, "Hey you, let's 1v1, right now." They begin their duel to the death. It's a dramatic fight. Hector throws his sword at Achilles but misses. Achilles then slays Hector by stabbing his neck. Then, he humbly respects his body and buries him in a grave. Oh, wait, nope. He defiles and desecrates Hector's corpse for several days by dragging it around the city walls 3 times. Now at last, his best friend Patroclus can have his funeral. Achilles sacrifices several animals and lastly 12 Trojan captives at a pile, then sets fire to it. The ashes of Patroclus would one day be next to Achilles too when he died. But finally, at last, there was peace, for now. Achilles would eventually be killed by an arrow to the heel by Paris. Well, Achilles, your parents should have just dipped your entire body inside the river. Anyways, Odysseus, that king of Ithaca, came up with the infamous idea of pretending to surrender and to leave the Trojans a horse. The wooden horse was designed to be hollow in the middle so that soldiers could hide inside, and then was wheeled in front of the city of Troy. After the Trojan horse was left at the gates, the Greeks sailed away from Troy to a nearby island. The Trojans thought that the Greeks had retreated from the war, and that the horse was a parting gift that would ultimately give the Trojans a fortune. They brought the Trojan horse in, and the Greeks inside came out at night and opened the city gates. They stormed the city, and the Trojans were massacred. So at last, the Trojan War was finally over. The war lasted 10 years. Most of the story comes from the Iliad. The war devastated both sides. Everyone was exhausted and ready to go home. Unfortunately for Odysseus, however, it would take him another 10 years before he could return home. He would almost be killed by many different types of monsters, but that is a story for another time. If you enjoyed this Minecraft Greek mythology video, like, subscribe, and check out this video as well, and thanks for watching.